Our first session of the day is Overcoming Resistance to the Culture of Care. This session will be presented by Mingzhen Bao, Assistant Dean, the School of General Studies, Tracy Borman, Director of Institutional Research, Cassie Cannon, Director of Data Management, and Alexa Dunn, Associate Director of Articulation and Prior Learning Assessment. I am delighted to help facilitate this engaging discussion. The first question that we would like to dive into is, what are some common reasons individuals resist embracing a community of care? And I would love to ask this to Mingzhen and Cassie.
I love this question. It's one of the core things that kind of moves us along when you look at resistance and why people are not jumping into things. When I think about this, it kind of comes down to people are busy. We've got a lot on our plates. We've got a lot of projects. We have a lot of training to do, and there's just a lot of newness going on right now. And I think when you have so much, the tendency is to view other people coming to you with help, with needs, with requests, is a little bit more to put onto your plate. And if we can break that cycle just a little bit and realize everybody's trying to do their best, everybody's working hard, whether it's our faculty, our students, our staff, and realize that little bit of help to somebody else can really make a game changer in whether they're able to complete their goal, complete their objective. And then in turn, they see you as someone who's willing to help. They're going to return that same favor. And we built this really cooperative culture as opposed to a me first culture. We built a place where we're all looking out for each other.
Thanks, Cassie. And hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. Before discussing common reasons, I would like to share a backstage story. Our panel is called Overcoming the Culture of Care Resistance, and the team debated whether to change our title to Overcoming Challenges, because resistance is often seen as indicating dissatisfaction, fear, or uncertainty. We ended up not changing our title because we want to convey the idea that resistance is not inherently negative. So expressing our resistance openly and sincerely while keeping an open mind helps clarify misunderstandings, build trust, and uncover the underlying needs and interests of everyone involved. As Cassie just mentioned, regarding the perception of resistance as an indicator of dissatisfaction, I have been with this institution for 11 years, and I see our UAGC community working together creatively and unitedly every day to support students to overcome real challenges. So it is clear to me that our team feels very proud of the culture of care. It's our labor of love, definitely not dissatisfaction. Fear or uncertainty may play a role here. Many people resist the changes because they already have an overwhelming workload and feel they cannot take on more tasks. Others may feel uncertain as they're not prepared to be an active part of the culture. They either do not know what they are committed to or do not feel empowered to make a difference. I feel like changes, especially culture changes, can be very intimidating, and we need time to adjust and feel comfortable with new concepts and processes. Since this panel is all about leadership-supported care, I would like to highlight that our colleagues have their unique needs and concerns. We have to admit that there will always be something that we do not know about our team members. Our brains tend to fill in the gaps with assumptions, especially about people we do not know well or haven't had positive experience with. Avoiding assumptions can help address resistance.
Thank you for those wonderful thoughts, Dr. Bao and Cassie. Our next question: what effective strategies can be employed to overcome resistance and secure buy-in from individual contributors? I'd like to share this with Tracy and Alexa.
Hello, thank you for joining us. One effective strategy to overcome resistance and secure that buy-in to a culture of care and to any change really includes ensuring that there are open communication channels to address the concerns and gather feedback from the team. Engaging faculty and staff in collaborative decision-making processes can help to build a sense of ownership and commitment to the culture of care. It also helps to inform your team members of the why behind any change in culture and how it may impact them. Providing comprehensive training and professional development opportunities focused on empathy, active listening, and conflict resolution skills can further help to support the adoption of that caring culture. Finally, recognizing and celebrating examples of care and compassion within any community can reinforce the behaviors that you want and to inspire others to actually embrace that change in culture with the culture of care.
Good morning, everyone. I think that this is a really great question, and I do want to first harken back to what Mingzhen was talking about, that resistance isn't necessarily a bad thing, and resistance is a catch-all for a lot of things. We could have lack of knowledge about a change or the reasons for it, historical record of similar situations not going so great, change management doesn't know information that would actually change the project direction. And maybe it's change fatigue. I think all of us have had a lot of change over the past few years, especially. I mean, 2020, a lot of people who didn't currently work remote now work remote. There's just a lot that's gone on over the past 3 years, and especially with UAGC becoming UAGC and then fully integrating with UA last year. I like to use the word change a little bit rather than resistance, and it's easier to secure buy-in when we do that. When we look at a culture of care specifically, hearing and understanding where each individual contributor is at that time, that's important because that's going to then inform how you then proceed with what that person needs from you to help them overcome their whatever that is that we're loosely terming resistance for this discussion. I think we've all had those situations where we've been burned, right? We've had decisions go against us, and so maybe that's part of it. By taking that time and really communicating and listening and saying, I hear you, you can have that trust be built back up. Some of the methods specifically that I like to use with my team, we tend to brainstorm around challenges, and I then take their feedback and try to incorporate it into proposed changes. I'm constantly working on my own communication skills to ensure that the message I'm conveying is the one that is understood. So I will actually ask, and if I'm really worrying they're not getting it, I'll ask them to paraphrase it back to me. If we look at the actual pillars of care, so I just did communicate, advocating, I share the specific pros of a change with my team or whoever I'm working with that will affect them. And then I also take their feedback to a larger group if that's the case, and I will bring the feedback from the, for example, I take stuff to my manager and I'll bring her feedback back to my team. And that way my team knows that I'm taking their feedback, I'm looking into it, and I'm giving them a reason for the decision moving forwards, regardless of whether it's the one that they specifically would have chosen. It speaks to respect, right? We might not agree on an entire solution, but at least if we face it together, at least if we look at all of the different viewpoints that can be included, we find a compromise, and that compromise is probably better than any solution one of us is going to come up with on our own. And really, that's empowering my team to come to me with their ideas, and they'll know that I'm going to listen to them. So I think that at the end of the day, the key message that we should all try to convey and to live is that I understand and respect your point of view. You have to do what's right for you. And while today this may be difficult, or we may not agree on this one, we're never going to agree on everything. It doesn't change your value or my value. We don't have to agree on everything. We've got to compromise, and we have a way forwards with it.
Thank you, Tracy and Alexa. The term change fatigue is kind of echoing in my head right now. Moving on to our next question. When addressing resistance, how does your approach vary based on the specific role, whether it be administrative, academic, student-facing, internal, or other factors relevant to the position? I'd love to pass this to Dr. Bao and Tracy.
Thanks, Donna. When I look at this question, it's really highly related to the question that we just discussed. I work with academic leaders and highly talented faculty, and we're student-facing. So when I think about how to demonstrate the culture of care pillars, genuine interest is paramount. Like if you joined the IQR reflection earlier this week, you understand that this is a pie in the sky for faculty and student interaction. Any meaningful conversation begins with genuine interest. It's natural for team members to have very different levels of enthusiasm, and differing ideas are not necessarily opposing. So instead of trying to argue or persuade others, we pose questions like, what are they most excited about? What are they most worried about? I mean, these questions can extend to our faculty, to our students. But if someone who hadn't previously shown much interest asks me these questions, I may feel confused at best and suspicious at worst. So while I may answer without the right level of trust, those responses may lack authenticity. So as leaders, sometimes we're like detectives. We need to connect with everyone on the team. By leading with curiosity, we shift from assumptions like I bet to inquiries such as I wonder. When we foster connection, our engagement evolves from I'm interested in what you can do, interested in what you can do for me, to simply I'm interested in you. Second, when I reflect on those pillars, I think advocacy is crucial. While it may be easy for us to recognize and advocate for underrepresented groups or stellar performers, usually those are the groups that we intentionally see and advocate. It's very helpful, at least to me, to pause and ask myself if I truly understand everyone on my team and can advocate for each individual. Public recognitions. For example, today, I would like to thank Dr. John Burkhart to serve as the School of General Studies representative in the Culture of Care Committee, right? Additionally, we can help our team members expand their network and increase their visibility and opportunities. Many times, innovative solutions of resistance lie beyond our individual departments. And finally, empowerment. I know it's one of the pillars, but I'm thinking like, as leaders, we are catalysts for excellence. Our daily actions and behaviors trigger reactions from our team members. Culture goes beyond minimum requirement. It's not our teaching requirement. It's not even a policy like policy adherence. Culture is more about collective behavior of people. How do we act? How do we interact? How do we communicate? Do we have a shared language? So we encourage authenticity and contributions based on what individuals can contribute, their unique perspective, their unique experience and abilities. So while it's common to believe that, good leaders will provide similar support to each team members, in an effort to be fair and equal, an equitable approach is important to overcome resistance, I think. Effective support is like a tailor-made suit. It needs to fit. And Tracy,
Sorry, yep. Thank you, Dr. Bao. And while Dr. Bao just spoke about the academic and student-facing setting, I'm going to talk a little bit about addressing resistance in a non-student-facing role within an academic setting, such as administrative staff or support personnel. The approach often involves highlighting the organizational and personal benefits, as Alexa talked about previously, and the impact on overall productivity and workplace culture. Emphasizing the alignment of the care initiatives with the institution's mission and values can sometimes resonate with team members, allowing them to showcase how a culture of care can improve job satisfaction, reduce turnover, and enhance collaboration among your team members. Providing training and resources specific to their roles, such as stress management workshops or support for work-life balance, can also address concerns and secure buy-in. Additionally, and also mentioned previously when discussing the strategies for overcoming resistance, involving non-student facing staff in decision-making processes related to care initiatives can empower them and foster a sense of ownership, which can lead to more meaningful engagement and support for the culture of care within that academic setting.
Thank you so much for those thoughts. And moving on to our next question, can we influence our peers differently than our direct reports in the pursuit of a culture of care? This one's for Cassie and Alexa.
Absolutely. When we start to look at our peers, we have a very interesting thing happen, especially for those of us who've been around for a while, right? And we tend to think in silos. This is my team. This is what we do. This is how I need to get that work across. These are the people I need to protect. And that comes from a good place. But we're in a little bit of a different environment now. We don't need those silos. We don't need to focus on, I'm not protecting my team, nobody else is going to do it. We can really take a second and look and understand where the other teams are coming from, right? What is on this leader's plate? What is their main focus? And believe in what they're doing. And once you get a little bit away from the ownership and lean into us all working together to achieve this common goal, you find a lot of things like you don't really need to own everything. You can say, who's the best person for this work? How can I support that person in the best way? Is it on my team? Is it somebody else's team? Is this a training opportunity where we can build a collaboration? And as soon as we start doing more and more and more of that, people stop wanting those silos and we come together, and it's really easy to ask for help. It's really easy to lend someone a hand when you're not worried about being defensive and you're not worried about guarding your team all the time.
I think this is probably my favorite of the questions we are talking about today, and it can also be the hardest. So in short, our peers influence us positively and negatively every single day. Absolutely. The people around us, we become an amalgamation of the people we're with. To speak a little about my own experiences, I've been in situations where sometimes I haven't trusted the management or upper leadership when something is being brought up, not necessarily here at UAGC, but just over the course of my career. And I've sort of thought, well, they have to say that, right? That's their job. They're paid to tell me that it's going to be great and all this stuff. And then I've had a peer who has no reason to promote or, detract from a change, but it's going to help you. And it really made my own perspective sort of stop and say, wait a minute, if someone who doesn't have any stake in this is telling me this, I need to readjust my own attitude and open my mind and listen to what's going on and look at this a little more closely, right? And so I've taken that on board, and I remind myself of that and try to move forwards with it. I've heard this phrase, and hopefully others have, but don't steal other people's joy. And it really, really resonated with me about maybe 6 to 7 years ago. It wasn't said to me directly. It was in a larger conversation about new hires and how we as individuals can actually help new hires. But But imagine you've just got a job and you start that job and you're so excited and you get in there and someone goes, yeah, but management's terrible. You're instantly going to be brought down, right? But on the other hand, if you're so excited, the stress of being unemployed is finally off your shoulders, and you walk into a thing and people are like, we're so glad to have you. Let's get you trained. You're going to do great. It might take a few months, but that's okay. There's a lot to learn. You're going to help that person stay happy and engaged and not check out really quickly. When I started with the company as an admission and matriculation coordinator, you have to learn everything at once. There's no splitting it up. And it was a wall of stuff to learn. So having that support around me was very beneficial. And this conversation of don't steal that joy is so, it's so powerful. And I'll have a few other points, so I'll move on from it. But I think that the broader thing is that we are all part of the culture. That's the point that I'm making, is that every day, the people we talk to, the people around us, what we do does make a difference. And we need to support and sit and empathize. Sometimes we need that gentle reality check, and we need to have that give and take where I'm also open to people giving me that constructive feedback as well, and making sure that when they do give that to me, that I'm taking it. When Cassie was talking, I was thinking more about my role as I've moved up in the registrar's office. I now work on projects with other stakeholders from across the university, directors, deans, associate deans. I'm there to represent the people who are in the registrar's office. And I think that we can get very concerned with, well, I can't let my team be negatively impacted by this. But we also have the opportunity to positively impact the people who don't know all the stuff the registrar's office does or your office does. And we can advocate in those situations and bring them to the realization that we are one team. We're not silos. My work does affect multiple other teams across this organization. And by taking that approach of we are this one team, and having seen these silos being taken down over the past 3 years specifically, it's really been a positive change of impacting people with that positive, constructive path forwards, versus previously being very confined to, this is my role, I'm protecting everyone in it, and I'm going to fight for it, right? Like in a sort of butting heads kind of way.
A powerful point to interject on. I want to make sure that we have time to read through some of the comments in chat, so that there might be some time to share ideas on what was posted in there as well. Very inspiring ideas. The idea of breaking down silos is fantastic. We have Oreste, who said, I think historically work environments haven't given a language to how work cultures are to a degree based on balancing work-oriented focus and people-oriented focus. When things get stressful or we have challenging situations, we naturally tend to become very work-oriented. We try to be efficient, quick, and direct, and this can come at the expense of noticing people's needs. There's a number of other really good comments in here. I don't want to miss any of them. If there's anybody who has any questions for our panelists, we would love to invite those. Angel made a comment about ongoing support, empowerment, ownership, transparency, and communicating the why. Dr. Rosser Majors loved that I bet versus the I wonder. That got the attention of quite a few of our panel, our participants, our viewers. If you want some fabulous feedback, I highly recommend going through the chat, as it is apparent that your strategies and ideas have made quite a difference in quite a few people, and we appreciate that. With that, I would like to extend a big thank you to Dr. Bao, Tracy, Cassie, and Alexa for their time and insights as we conclude Overcoming Resistance to Culture of Care. We want to thank all of our viewers for joining us today, and we hope that you found this conversation inspiring. We will be posting, Dan's already on it, we have posted the next sessions in chat for your benefit. Once again, on behalf of the Department of Behavioral Sciences and the University of Arizona Global Campus, thank you and have a great rest of your day.